All right, so this is the December 16th meeting of the Minneapolis Bicycle Advisory Committee. And I just had it open a second ago and of course lost it. I have 20 windows open. It's not if you have it.
It's in the chat. You're looking for the notice. It's in the chat.
It's not in my chat.
Scroll up a little bit, because when I admit people, then it goes into the chat also.
It's not in there.
I can read it for you real quick if you want.
All right, go for it. Thanks.
Okay, so notice this meeting may involve the remote participation by members, either by telephone or other electronic means, due to the local public health emergency novel coronavirus pandemic pursuant to the provisions of Minnesota Statute section 13D.021.
Thank you, Millicent. I would request for future we add that back to the bottom of the agenda because it was on last month's but not on this month's. That's where I was looking for it before. Well, welcome everybody. Let's see. So I think what we did last month is we did our roll call in connection with the acceptance of the November minutes, and so I'd request that we do that again. So if you have, before we go ahead with that, are there any additions or changes to last month's minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. This is Alyssa.
Second, Robin.
Second by Robin. All right, so if you want to take the roll and check everybody in, Millicent, we're ready when you are.
Okay, Aaron?
Present and yes.
Okay. Chris Lindy? Carrie? Dan Miller?
Yes, and here.
Alyssa?
Here and yes.
Georgiana, are you here?
Yes.
Approve the minutes?
Yes.
Awesome.
I approve.
Okay. Heather, are you here? Nope. Janice?
Here and yes.
Okay. Jennifer?
Here and yes.
John Farabs?
Nope. Here and yes.
Awesome. Didn't see you there. Jordan?
Present, yes.
Good. Cadence?
Present and yes.
Good. Kyle?
Present and yes.
Okay. Liz? Jesse?
Here, yes.
Matthew Hendricks?
Here, yes.
Nick?
Here and yes.
Paul Friends? Nope. Robin?
Yes.
Here and yes, I was muted.
Okay, I got you, Paul. You're here and you approve the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Armand?
Hello. Here and yes.
Tyler?
Here and yes.
Wes?
Present, yes.
Great. Greg Stout, are you present? Did I call you already?
I am here.
Wonderful. Matthew Deardahl?
Yes and yes.
And Millicent Flowers is here. And Chris Kartheiser is not here. Okay, we have 21 present and 19 approve the minutes.
Great, thank you, Millicent. Thanks, everybody. So getting into discussion, I was just hoping, and being it's my last meeting as chair, I think I'd like to take a little bit more time. So first I'll just say thanks to everybody who has served on the BAC and is leaving, and we'll take a lot more time to do that in the end. I'm going to put the majority of that conversation at the end, so we just have a little more time to chatter about it after we complete our business. So maybe it's motivation to keep things moving. And that gets us into the Midtown Greenway Bridge resolution, which has been milling about for the last couple of weeks. And thank you, Matthew, for taking the lead on that for us. I'll hand it to you.
Sure. So this is something that's been discussed a couple times, I think, in a few different venues. The really short background on this is that there is a railroad adjacent to the Midtown Greenway in between the Seward and Longfellow neighborhoods. And that railroad includes a bridge over 31st Avenue South. And that bridge needs some repairs. And in order to have some cost sharing with those repairs, the railroad is coming to, I believe it's the state, seeking some cooperation on the bridge. And there's also a level of cooperation needed from the city as well. This particular railroad has been very resistant to engaging with the public sector on any conversations related to extending the Greenway over the Mississippi River. And so this is an opportunity to essentially take advantage of a moment when the railroad is looking for something from local government to try to get the railroad to engage in conversations about what could happen with the river crossing. So that's the background. I can put the suggested resolution in the chat if that's helpful, or read it, whatever is most helpful.
It looks like Millicent would like it in the chat.
Yeah.
In addition to reading it.
Us and Janice.
Okay, so I'll put it in the chat here. I should also note that the City Council adopted and passed a strong resolution along these same lines. So in essence, we're providing encouragement and further support to the City Council for something that it, as far as I understand, fully intends to pursue.
And maybe I could just speak to that briefly. So I just put in the chat some language that we are looking to get into the city's legislative agenda for on Friday when that passes formally. So it basically says the same thing that that Matthew's text says. Essentially, we would only support state funding for the 31st Avenue bridge crossing if there's some sort of workable, durable agreement between the railroads and the public sector to let us use the bridge over the Mississippi for the Midtown Greenway crossing. I'll also just note our office is working on a letter to be signed by multiple elected officials. We've been working on this with the Sierra Club folks to send to Met Council Chair Charlie Zelli and MnDOT Commissioner Margaret Anderson Kelleher, iterating basically these same points, just in case there are any non-legislative pools of money out there that the railroad might be able to go get access to without legislative action. And so far we've got a few state reps, a state senator, members of the park board all signing on with us. So this is a pretty broad-based effort that's already well underway.
This is Alyssa. I would just like to, I know we have at least 2 folks calling in, so we will need to someone will need to read the resolution out loud.
I just have one question. This is Janice. Is this the same railroad that owns the right-of-way that's just across the river where we want a bike connection? You know what I mean? You know, there's that railroad right-of-way. Where is it? It's just near between the Stone Arch Bridge and different railroad.
I think it's a different railroad. I'm not entirely sure. So in this particular spot, the bridge is owned by Canadian Pacific, and the railroad that is actually going and requesting this funding from the state is Minnesota Commercial. I think that what you're talking about right now is BNSF line.
I should also mention that I can't take any credit for writing this resolution. It was all, it came to me from Joshua Hodek, who until recently was a member of this committee. So he's still working hard, even though he's not on the list for this committee anymore.
Matthew, would you like to read the motion that you put in here for those on the phone and just for recording's sake, and then if you like, you can move it forward and we can have discussion.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll move the following motion. The Midtown Greenway is an incredible asset for the city of Minneapolis and the entire Twin Cities region. The Greenway is the most well-used trail for walking, bicycling, and rolling in Minnesota, and more people use the Midtown Greenway on an average day than 90% of Minneapolis streets. In November 2020, Mayor Melvin Carter opened the Mill Trail in St. Paul and committed to supporting connecting this new trail to the Midtown Greenway. Now, more than ever before, we have the opportunity to realize the vision to extend the Midtown Greenway east over the Short Line Rail Bridge, over the Mississippi River in Minneapolis, and connect to Ide Mill Trail in St. Paul. The bridge was built for 2 railroad tracks and now has only one. It has plenty of space for a bike ped trail. The primary impediment to making the crucial connection between Minneapolis and St. Paul has been the lack of cooperation from the railroads that own and operate the corridor, respectively Canadian Pacific Railway, CP Rail, and Minnesota Commercial Railroad, MCR. Hennepin County did great work to accommodate CP's concerns about the railroad, but the railroad made untenable demands, including that the county accept liability not just for the bicycle trail, but for the railroad itself. Neither the city of Minneapolis, the county, nor the state has ever had any leverage to gain the railroad's attention in a way that is productive until now. MCR is seeking state funds to repair the Greenway CP Rail Bridge over 31st Avenue South in Minneapolis. The city of Minneapolis should include in its intergovernmental relations legislative agenda opposition to any state assistance to the railroads until they work with city, county, and state officials to facilitate the crucial connection of the Midtown Greenway over the Mississippi River in the form of a memorandum of understanding for use of the Short Line Bridge. The public and its elected representatives have never had leverage in this issue. We must use this opportunity. We urge MnDOT and the Met Council to engage with MCR and CP Rail and craft an MOU to allow the Midtown Greenway to be extended over the Mississippi River before any public funds are used to repair the 31st Avenue South Bridge.
Thanks, Matthew. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Aaron. Discussion?
I'll just, for the purposes of the note that Matthew made in the chat, I'll read the language that I put in the chat. So here's the language that our office is attempting to add to the city's legislative agenda. Quote, supporting state funds for the reconstruction of the rail and non-motorized trail bridge over 31st Avenue South only as part of a durable and workable agreement between the railroads and the public sector for the use of the Short Line Bridge to extend the Midtown Greenway across the Mississippi River.
All right, thanks, Robin. Other discussion?
Robin, did you want to add your language to this resolution in some way? Or
no, I'm just trying to tell everybody that that's the language that we're looking to get into the city's legislative agenda. So it's fully in line with the motion that Matthew has made.
And oddly, much more concise than our resolution for a change. That's great. Other discussion?
Does anyone happen to know how much money they're actually seeking?
I don't.
Well, they're seeking enough to fully reconstruct the bridge over 31st, and I don't. So you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars at the very least, I would think.
Yeah. Cool.
Do you know if the bridge is condemned right now, or is it being used by the railroad?
It is being used by the railroad. There has been a little bit of back and forth about this just recently. They have their own internal assessments of the bridge that they haven't actually really shared with us or with anybody else that indicate that it needs to be replaced. But it sounds like it's not bad enough to have stopped service across it. And it is currently listed in the state system as being adequate.
Thanks, Robin. Other discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, Millicent, you can take the roll when you're ready.
Okay, Aaron,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Georgiana,
Yes.
Janice,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Jordan,
Aye.
Jordan, aye. Cadence,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Jesse,
Abstain.
Matthew Hendricks,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye. Aye.
Robin,
Aye.
Armand.
Aye.
Is he still here, Tyler?
Oh, yes, aye.
Les,
Yes.
Dog.
Aye.
We have 18 yes and 1 abstention.
Thank you, Millicent. Thank you, Matthew and Robin, and thanks to Joshua for the work. Definitely an unprecedented opportunity, and we'll hope. Well, we won't hope we're lucky. We'll work hard and hope we're lucky with this one. All right, moving on to reports from our fabulous subcommittee chairs, starting off with 5Es and Alyssa.
Thanks, Nick. We had a great meeting at the beginning of the month. It's hard to believe we're already at the end of the year. We covered a lot of stuff at 5Es. We spent some good time talking about year-end processes, which included the CIP process, the annual report to the TPW committee, as well as the year-end review that staff does internally. So we did some planning around some of those things. Matthew Deardahl collected a little bit of feedback on how the CIP process went last cycle and some of the changes that staff made so that he could bring that feedback internal to staff and improve the process for the 2020-2021 cycle, which is obviously a little bit behind because everything is behind in 2020 with COVID. So in terms of when Public Works staff will be coming to give us our sort of year-end review, that's going to be usually that happens in December or January, and that's looking like more of a January activity because we're at the end of December. And then we also did a little bit of brainstorming on the Transportation and Public Works report that is typically a co-presentation between the PAC chair and the BAC chair. I think it was Matthew who sort of noted we should pay attention to the timing relative of the new membership being voted on. Typically, we're not in a position where our membership is turning over right in advance of the time we start planning this report. So it was, I think, great that we started the conversation with the group that's here today, and we'll keep talking about some of those conversations in January, February, March. It sounds like tentatively staff are thinking that March makes sense as a time frame just because we need a little bit of extra time and want to give new folks some time to get acclimated to that. So those were sort of the year-end processes we covered as a group. Does anyone have questions on that before I summarize we also had a conversation about onboarding and off-boarding, which we are going to be doing some of tonight. All right, awkwardly long pause. So yeah, the other big thing we talked about was member onboarding and offboarding preparation, spending some time planning for how we are going to be saying goodbye to all of the members for whom this is their last meeting today. and then also collecting thoughts on how do we, you know, as a body who has a lot of experience on the BAC, how do we set new membership up for success, especially in this virtual time where, you know, things are hard, and things take more time, and information is not necessarily as readily, in some ways is more readily available, and in other ways is not as much. So there's a good list of suggestions that folks made in the meeting minutes that were sent out, including planning for introductions, doing some technical training on Teams and LIMS, since the LIMS rollout kind of happened in the middle of COVID. Some overview stuff that we want to continue doing, such as review of the CIP process, review of the bylaws, review of links to like the capital budget requests as part of the CBR process, sending out the annual calendar. So yeah, we did some good planning for offboarding and onboarding. Dan Miller, I see you have a hand up.
Yeah, Millicent sent out a list of the new board that will take place in January, and there were some vacancies still on it. And I think Matthew maybe wants to comment a little bit about the status on that for the meeting. Am I correct on that, Matthew?
Yeah, I'd love to. So we appointed 10 of the 13 open seats for the ward appointments, and there are 3 vacancies still. That is wards 4, 10, and 12. And I believe we have candidates for 10 and 12, but ward 4 I think is still wrestling with finding some candidates. And I know Georgiana had done some work, but I guess, you know, thanks Dan for bringing this up. If anybody knows folks in ward 4, we still need to fill those positions, and frankly 10 and 12 in case there's some other really good candidates that should apply. Dan, is that what you were looking for from me?
Yeah.
Yes, and we should just if we
did you, Matthew?
Yes, Georgiana.
Did you make any contact with Bonzi Vu or anybody else in Ward 4 that was Asian?
Sorry, everyone, I'm going to interrupt. Millicent, you're screen sharing your whole screen right now, and I can see a handful of people's full email addresses. Since the meeting is being recorded, can you change it so that we're not able to see those? Thanks.
Georgiana.
Sorry about that.
No, I've not made contact with them. I don't believe I have their contacts.
Okay, I'll get the contact info to you, Matthew.
That would be great. That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Georgiana.
And Dan.
I guess your thought, Matthew, is that if we have some feelers out there to just have them contact you, and if there's interest.
Yeah, contact me, and then I'll share the application with them. If you want to do that as well, that would be good. The sooner they get it, you know, maybe they'll fill it out. But yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I do know that there's at least one fabulous candidate and others for Ward 12, and I think Andrew Johnson is just deliberating to make a good choice. I followed up with him today, and I did hear from Council President Bender that she was close to a decision as well. So hopefully those two will get finalized in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. I think the only other thing I want to note as far as our offboarding conversation is if you are leaving, we really want you to come back for the annual BAC bike ride. We're going to do our best to keep a list and reach out to you whenever we are in a world where group bike rides feel like a possibility again. But we want you to come back. So please join us. Please mark your virtual calendars.
Cool.
The only other thing we discussed at 5Es was the Hiawatha Trail crossing. Matthew Hendricks, do you want me to summarize that conversation, or do you want to jump in with that? We do have an action for that one.
Go ahead.
Cool. So Matthew brought up that, so this is 26th Street where it crosses the Hiawatha LRT trail. It's just to the east of the trail. It's where we just had the second stoplight installed not too long ago, and there are some concrete barriers on the sort of northeast corner of that intersection that mimic a proposed safety improvement. Matthew brought up that even with this test improvement, it's still a pretty difficult intersection to cross. And the second light is not as effective as we had hoped it would be. There's a lot of through traffic that makes the right turn anyway and ignores the red light at that intersection. And why the turn radii, so there's still wide sweeping turns that are a problem. And since the test project hasn't really been built to the final stage yet, Matthew brought that to our committee. We developed a draft resolution, which I will read aloud because I think it summarizes pretty well what we tried to, what we discussed and what we saw at the meeting. The Minneapolis Bicycle Advisory Committee requests that Minneapolis Public Works explore adding a substantial center median to 26th Street and the Hiawatha LRT trail crossing as shown in the provided diagram. The provided diagram has that reducing westbound traffic to one lane and reducing the width of the eastbound traffic lane. That's in addition to the planned north side bump out, which the committee supports. The committee also requests that Public Works explore signalization improvements to this intersection. So the Matthew Hendricks, I don't know if you want to say more about the median, but the idea here, right, is to make sure that we reduce the width of lanes, reduce the number of lanes, and actually provide a center median that folks can stop at, because the median currently is not really effective as a stopping point. And sorry, I know I need to wait for someone to second the motion now.
I second it.
Thanks,
Dan.
Dick. Further discussion?
Matthew Hendricks, did you have anything to add before other folks jump in?
No, you summarized it really well. I mean, it really is a situation where there's not really a center median as much as a really small concrete strip there, maybe 1.5 feet wide on the one side. So getting a median and a place for people to stop would make a big difference there.
Cool. I see Greg has a hand up, and then Dan after that.
This is an area where we've had litigation in the past due to the safety of that crossing. So anything we can do to improve the safety is appreciated.
Thanks, Greg.
And I know, Matthew, you had a little diagram that went with this that at least I think I found very helpful that explained this. I'm wondering if that might be appropriate to add to your resolution. I don't know if it is or not, but I found it very helpful.
Sure, I would welcome that. I emailed the diagram to Millicent and I think a couple others. Is there an easy way to add it to the resolution, Millicent?
I can add it once. Let me go and find it, but I can also just put it on there. It's no problem.
Sure. Okay. That could be done after this meeting, I assume.
Yeah.
I see Matthew Deardahl has a hand up, and then Paul.
Yeah. So I want to give some context, and this is not in any way a rebuttal or saying this. Well, I'll just say context. So this project is at. And I brought this up at the subcommittee, but I just want to say it here is beyond 100% designed, and was supposed to be built this year, and they just happened to not get to it, which frankly was a little frustrating to me. But that's where we are. So this request, I just want to be clear, is going to be a hard one, or at least my assumption is that this will be a hard one to get changed, and. I guess I just wanted to note that I reached out to Steve. We had a meeting today. It unfortunately was canceled. He couldn't make it. So I will talk to him about this and report back on what I hear. Perhaps at whatever the next meeting is that makes sense. So I just wanted to share that. If there's any questions, let me know.
Thanks,
I appreciate that, Matthew. I think we're definitely going into it with eyes open to the fact that there's a project that's scheduled to happen, hopefully next summer or next spring, and hopefully this is viewed as additive to that rather than canceling it or criticizing it, but really trying to improve it so that it has the intended impact. And hopefully the fact that there is a project happening helps something better happen here, in the sense that we're not starting from square one where there is no project happening at all, or Public Works isn't concerned about the intersection at all. So hopefully we're able to get to a good resolution, but I understand the concern. I think it's very reasonable what you're raising.
And I just also want to say thanks for bringing it to our attention. Nonetheless, I mean, this is it would be hard to argue that the proposal is not better than what will go in. So I just wanted to say that as well.
Oh yeah, you bet, you bet.
Paul's next.
Yeah, the median that is you're talking about in this, is that for pedestrians and bikes, or it seems like there might not be enough room for a median that bikes could stop on?
So Paul, it is intended for both, and in order to get enough space, there are a couple options, including narrowing the eastbound lane that's on the south side of a potential median, and or reducing from 2 to 1 westbound lanes, which would be on the north side of the median. Either of those gets to a median big enough to stop. If both are done together, then you have a really an ample median then at that point.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Cadence, you had your hand up before. Are you good now?
Yes, I actually just had a question about the timeline, but that was addressed already.
Great, thanks. Paul, are you putting your hand back up?
Unfortunately, it's not letting me erase my hand up.
Oh, I see.
So
There you
ignore
go. All right. Any other discussion on this one? I'll just say, as someone who's been through it hundreds of times and all the iterations that it's seen, I'm excited to make it that much better. And I've definitely spoken to more than one person who rides through there regularly that said they like it less now because it sets up expectations that were not there before, and people are not following those expectations. And I think what Matthew has brought forward will help people actually follow the expectations that we're hoping everyone will do. So I support this as well. All right, any other discussion? Melissa, I think we're ready when you are.
Okay. Aaron?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Georgiana? Want to vote on this, Georgiana, the Hiawatha Trail crossing? All right, we'll come back. Janice?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Aye.
John?
This is.
Hello?
Hello? Georgiana,
I
is that
vote
you?
yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Great.
I vote yes.
Okay. John?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Cadence, how do you vote?
Aye. Sorry, I was on mute.
That's okay. Kyle?
Aye.
Jesse?
Abstain.
Matthew Hendricks?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Robin?
Enthusiastic aye.
Armand?
Aye.
Tyler?
Aye.
Lee?
Yes,
Matthew Deardahl?
sorry, I think I accidentally voted for someone else, but yes, aye. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can Hear you. West Durham, you want to vote? Are you still here?
Yes.
Okay, great. We have
Hey,
8.
Millicent,
Yes.
I'm here. I'm Chris. Lindy, I'd like to vote yes, please.
Okay, great. Hi, Chris. I have you down. And that makes us 19 yes and 1 abstention.
Thank you, Millicent. Thanks everybody for that one. Anything else, Alyssa?
Not on the 5Es report. I assume that we should talk about the 17th Avenue at the end after the engineering report.
That sounds great to me.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, 5Es. And engineering report up next.
Hi, everybody.
And Chris, sorry, Chris.
Oh, that's okay. Dan, do you want to do it? That's fine by me.
Your call.
You did such a good job on the minutes. Go ahead and do it.
All right. Millicent, would it be too much trouble to pull up the Osseo Road BAC presentation?
Give me a minute.
Yeah. Well, we have several actions today that came out of that. And the first one will be regarding the Osseo Road reconstruction. And we're going to try to pull these up as they come along. If you are not aware of it, in the minutes that, or the announcement that Millicent sent out, there is a connection to the LIMS site, and on that LIMS site is basically the BAC the Osseo Road presentation and several others that came before us. And those are really, really helpful to kind of take a look at even during the meeting, because you can scroll back and forth compared to the kind of controlled scenery that you'll see when Millicent gets it on the screen. But to summarize a little bit about the Osseo Road project, it's basically going, and it's from the city limits in North Minneapolis down to near 44th. And that road is primarily going to be 2 travel lanes with designated right and left turn lanes and center median in some sections. It has a brand new, this came at this meeting, a brand new 10-foot wide, 2-foot, 10-foot two-way trail on the south side with an adjacent 6-foot sidewalk. And there's a little stripe that goes between them that demarcates the difference between that two-way trail and the sidewalk. And it's also going to be getting 5-foot boulevards and pedestrian lighting and grass boulevards and perhaps even more. There is a zebra and conflict zone crossing at Victor Memorial Drive and Queen Avenue, where the Queen Bike Boulevard will come in next year. Improved Metro Transit stops, and construction is anticipated in 2022. One of the pieces, this is an extension of work that was completed in 2019 in Brooklyn Center that runs from Bass Lake Road, sort of the, there you go, sort of the way that, so there's a trail that's north of here from 49th going all the way up to Bass Lake Road, about another 1.5 miles. So this is quite a nice run and quite a nice trail, and it's looking forward. If you can scroll down a little bit, Millicent, to show some of the sections. So there's 6 different street scenarios here, and some of the concerns, if we continue to scroll, Millicent, to the next one, some of the concerns were that the, in fact, the big concern that came out and came jumping out was we have 11-foot lanes on this, plus 2-foot or wider gutters, and that seemed to be a little bit extreme to try to slow down the traffic along this path. There's a good example of it. Well, not right, yeah, right there. Some of the things besides the wide gutters and the 11-foot lanes. It was brought up that the trail does not get to 44th, and that we should either see some trail or multi-use trail to get that far. We discussed tabled crossings of intersections along the trail. There's a nice view of the trail. And that this be considered at all street intersections. Tyler brought up that he felt if we can to get some additional greening, in other words, trees in this area that might, make it a little bit more personal and close down the street. And we also discussed wayfinding plan that encourages use to destinations and important intersections. And extending that dash striping, which showed up on the Minneapolis portion all the way up to Bass Lake Road. And this was coming to us at 30%, and it was mentioned that these were what is being proposed. They aren't actually what's in, it's what's being proposed. And we asked that perhaps they would come back at 60% to review the status of these proposals, as well as some of the recommendations we made, which I think is probably easiest to go into with the action if we can. So Millicent, if we could turn to that action, maybe that's the next piece to do. And I'll read this out loud. The Bicycle Advisory Committee appreciates staff efforts and their proposal, which includes an off-street asphalt marked two-way bikeway visually and physically delineated from the adjacent cement pedestrian sidewalk, pedestrian lighting in green boulevards, zebra crossings and conflict zones at the Victory Memorial and Queen Bike Boulevard intersections. The BAC requests that the project be presented again at 60% to review progress and affirmation of their proposal and the following recommendations to improve safety, trail continuity, and identity. Those being the existing vehicle lane widths of 11 plus 2-foot gutter and wider visually encourage dangerous higher speeds and need to be reduced. Continuing the bikeway or a multi-use trail to 44th. Tabled and zebra marked intersections at the bikeway along the entire length of the project. Additional greening elements besides boulevard grass, turf, and over the bridge. Providing a wayfinding plan to encourage use to destinations and significant intersections. Extend markings and wayfinding on the trail west of to Bass Lake Road, which was recently completed in 2019. So that's, did I move that? I'll move that. Should I move it?
Is there a second?
Second, this is Cadence.
Thanks, Cadence. Discussion? Oh, that's better. Thank you. Somebody's talking?
Yeah, this is Matthew Hendricks. I'm curious to run an idea past the group to see if this would be considered an improvement or not. So the trail is on the west side of the street, and between the trail and the road or street, there's typically about a 5-foot green space that may or may not have trees, but 5 feet is a little bit minimal for trees and may feel pretty close to the street there. On the other side of the trail, there's the 1-foot buffer and the 6-foot pedestrian sidewalk. So I'm curious if this is a location where it might be better to have a wider green buffer between the motor vehicle traffic and the trail, and instead of having essentially 17 feet for non-motorized uses, have something like a 12 or a 14-foot multi-use trail. So the trade-off is you'd share the trail occasionally with pedestrians who would be, it'd be more than zero in this kind of a location, but it's not thick pedestrian traffic like you'd expect in like the U of M area or close to downtown. And in exchange for that sharing, there'd be a much more generous green buffer between motor vehicle traffic and the trail.
Do we have any reactions from that specifically to our motion maker or seconder first?
I can only, this is Dan, and I can only speak from experience of the 18th Avenue Trail, which is 13 feet wide in Johnson and Central Avenue. And at one time that was going to be marked, it was originally marked as a, what was it, 5-foot bike lanes and a 6-foot, well, it wouldn't have been that, it was 13 feet. So 5 feet, 8 foot, two 4-foot bike lanes and a 5-foot sidewalk. And so they're going to do a solid white and a striped yellow line. I think that they made the smart move and just striped it right down the middle and with a dashed line. And my fairly extensive experience of using that bike path is it's working really well with mixed use. And so that's just my observations. I don't know if they would go for that, but I think it really helps to, help inform people that which side to be on that dashed line. So,
Cadence and then Matthew.
I don't believe I have my hand raised.
Oh, I just
Sorry
had
about
you as the seconder, unless I did that wrong. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's all right.
Matthew, you at all?
Yeah, so I'll provide just a little perspective. So to me, the denser and busier the environment, I think the more separation is useful and necessary. In this case, I sort of like, just my personal view is like 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. But what I will note, and this is part of my role being on both BAC and PAC, is the BAC or the PAC has felt pretty strongly over the years that like we should pursue separation wherever and whenever possible, regardless of kind of the context, and expected use. I haven't always agreed with that necessarily, but I just wanted to share that perspective as part of my role.
Thanks, Matthew. Jesse and then Kyle.
Yeah, I think separation, seems fine. I think we'd have to make sure to look at locations getting further south along the layout, if there are any buildings closer to the right of way that we may need. We don't want bicycle traffic close to any retaining walls or anything like that, or buildings. And then the actual, once you combine them, then if you have them separate, then the walkway can be the exclusive ADA compliant facility, and then the bike trail may have a little bit more leniency. I don't know if that's why they separate them or not, but those are, I guess, 2 things to think about.
Thanks. Kyle?
Yeah, I would echo what Dan said in that having just one single striped line down the center, in my experience, is much more clear for the pedestrians as to where, they want to be on the far right side of the path. And if you only separate them with a narrow, like 1 foot, I guess, median or whatever it is in this case, it may be confusing for them. So I guess if it's separated, that's great. But if we do decide we think it's better to make it one path, I would prefer that it be just one dashed line down the center of a larger path than like trying to put the pedestrians on one side of it.
Now Cadence, I think.
Yes. Okay. So I'm just thinking about like who is most likely to use this segment and whether or not anyone has insight on if this would be like a lot of commuters, maybe who are commuting from the northern suburb and like this might be their most direct path. And so typically like for recreational trails or like primarily recreational use, I'm in general fine with having, you know, more shared space between pedestrians and cyclists because I feel like people aren't as in a rush to, you know, get to work. Time of day, like peak activity might sort of correct for like how many pedestrians might be, you know, walking their dogs when people are maybe perhaps trying to ride their bike to work. But I think also if we're thinking about getting more people to replace like a 3 mile to 5 mile car ride from the northern suburbs to a Minneapolis neighborhood, like we do need to consider that they're trying to make up some time and it may be like a conflict, like quite literally a physical conflict of interest for them to behave as safe around people who might be walking dogs or children to school before work. So I don't know if that's something that we can think about there.
Dan, Matthew, and Jenny.
Yeah, the one thing to consider too is the trail that has been built between city limits up to Bass Lake Road, which is longer than what this section will be, is basically a divided trail that is a cement sidewalk and an asphalt trail with a boulevard. So I think Matthew's thoughts about trying to figure out ways to expand the width of the green is a good idea. But I think it's also important to kind of maintain that consistency. So there might be between them trying to narrow down the gutter widths and I don't know, something else. I think perhaps maintaining that separation is a good idea for consistency. Done.
Thanks, Matthew and Jenny.
There's a certain political element I'm interested in too. Just the fact that Hennepin County is like very voluntarily and maybe excitedly proposing a separated trail here is a good thing because we're going to need that on University Avenue and East Hennepin, and you know, so there's a part of it where it's like I kind of want to like support them in doing the separation because we're going to need it elsewhere. I'm not sure if that's a big factor or not, but
thanks, Matthew. Jenny?
Yeah, I would just kind of echo as a pedestrian, and I know this is the BAC, but when I'm a pedestrian, I really do appreciate the separation from bicycles. When I'm a bicyclist, it doesn't matter so much, but so I can see why the PAC would be looking for separation. And I think just to echo what Dan said, I thought I saw in the notes some talk of maybe the road is too wide, and I do also love trees, so maybe there's room there to narrow the road a little bit, or you know, just encourage as many trees as possible.
And back to Matthew Hendricks. Thanks, Jenny.
Yeah, so that's really helpful to hear the different opinions, and I think it's pretty clear in this situation there's not a resounding call for like, yes, we absolutely should merge the trails to get the extra green space. I think it's sort of there are probably, it sounds like, enough disadvantages to merging the trails that's probably not the direction we'd really want to push for. But I think that puts more pressure then on getting the road narrowed to try to maximize the green space, in addition to narrowing it just to make it a quieter and slightly slower and safer road, or to make it more likely that motor vehicles will adhere to the speed limit. And for those who weren't in the engineering committee meeting, that was really probably the biggest critique of this design, was the lane widths. They're 11 plus 2 in some locations, but they get up to like much wider, especially on the bridge. They're I think 11 or 12 plus 5. So there's some stretches where there's a lot of room to narrow the road and still have plenty of space for traffic moving at 30 miles an hour.
Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I guess I just put that exclamation point on I think when I drafted language for that lane width, I said 11 plus 2 and wider is unacceptable. Just, there's so many reasons I can't even begin to start listing them, but I think this captures them, and I obviously will not be here, but I hope when you get to that last part of that, the county comes back at 60%, that happens, and that you hold them to that. So, any other discussion? All right, I think we're ready when you are, Millicent.
Okay, Aaron?
Aye.
Aye.
Dan? Dan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Alyssa?
Aye.
Georgiana?
Yes.
Janice?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jordan?
Abstain.
Jordan, you're gonna abstain?
That's
And
correct.
everyone turn off their microphones, please. There's some background noises making it hard. Okay, Jordan, you said you abstain?
Yes.
Okay. Cadence?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jesse?
Abstain.
Matthew Hendricks?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Robin?
Aye.
Armand?
Abstain.
Wes?
Yes.
Matthew Deardahl?
Yes.
16 yes and 3 abstentions.
Okay, the next item on the next item on the agenda was the Second Street East and Northeast pedestrian improvements. You put that up, or can people, if they want to follow along, collect?
Yep. My internet connection isn't as quick as it should be. Things are kind of spinning here.
Okay. This has been something that's been up for a while with temporary bollards and striping, and they're going to basically make it permanent. It involves adding a new median, a new center median, and shrinking that intersection. Is that up now? Nope, still not. I've got it. Yeah. Okay, and so there's added greening to this. There is and a little bit of treatment on the corners to kind of make the corners tighter for turning. Second Street is on our All Ages and Abilities network. It's something that is listed as a future low stress route, and it will be constructed in 2021. Now, I think there were some, is it up there now? Yeah, there it is. Okay, so the left side is the existing and the right side is the proposed. So, Chris, would you like to talk about this intersection? This is one that's dear to your heart.
Sure. Intersections are always close to my heart. It got it a Christmas present and everything. No, it works really well. We had the neighborhood, I live in this neighborhood, we had a big problem with traffic speeds going down 2nd Street, down off the railroad bridge. There was talk about putting a stop sign in there, but the stop signs are no good because it's really irritating to live by a stop sign, have people gunning their cars after they stop. So this was done to divert the traffic, make them kind of swerve a little bit, make them slow down, and it has worked. Both documented and just kind of just kind of noticing it as well. It's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. It's a great pedestrian improvement. And then are you going to talk about possible 3rd Avenue?
Yes, you can go ahead, or I can proceed.
Sure. So there's not on 2nd Street, but on 3rd Avenue, as you can see in that design, there is some green striking, conflict striping. There is an old, the original Greenway, the first Greenway in the city in the 70s, I believe, 70s and early 80s. This land was, just a quick history lesson, this land was scheduled to be for an interstate called I-335 that was going to run, hook up basically 94 to 35W, and it was going to go across Northeast. They bought the land, they cleared the land, but they did not build the freeway. It's kind of one of these things that you hear about, how they wish we wouldn't have built the intersections through parts of our city. Well, this is one instance where they didn't. They stopped it. So nice little kind of note on that. And then they also kind of wanted to put a greenway, a bikeway, in its place of the interstate, which I thought kind of neat. But anyway, it needs to get maintained. There's been some disagreement on who owns the land or who's supposed to maintain the land, and it's in great disrepair, so much that it's basically unusable. So I think the motion that Dan drew up was really nice, and once he reads it or moves it forward, I will definitely second it.
All right. Any questions before I read the motion? All right, here it comes. The Bicycle Advisory Committee supports the plan as presented to improve safety at this intersection. Additionally, we are appreciative that this intersection creates a safer crossing using the 3rd Avenue Northeast Bikeway. We urge Public Works to assume maintenance responsibilities for this bikeway, which connects users to the Mississippi River, St. Anthony Park, and Central Avenue. Its pavement condition is poor and not plowed in the winter. This bikeway, which was once on the Bicycle Master Plan, needs to be reinstated on the All Ages and Abilities Network. It is the only east to west off-street trail in the St. Anthony East and West neighborhoods, and the only east to west bike facility between 8th Street Northeast and the rail line overpass over to the south. A similar intersection improvement should be considered at Monroe and 3rd Avenue Northeast, as well as an improved Marshall Street crossing to improve trail continuity, north-south connections, and river access.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, this is Kyle. Real quick, is that supposed to say the 18th Street Northeast bike facility?
No, I don't know. 8th. No, that's
okay.
8th. It's Plymouth Avenue.
Oh, Plymouth. Okay, gotcha. Yes, okay.
Chris?
Sure. I'd also like to say too that this is I've also dreamed about
Chris, I accidentally muted you. Chris, can you turn your microphone back on? Sorry.
Got it. Thank you. So I've always dreamed about there's a Webster school that's opened up on, which just opened within the past few years on 5th and 5th. So would be a really nice kind of safe routes to school project, I've always thought.
It sure would.
So that would be a really good use of that funds and create a safe route to school while also making for a bike path as well. So.
Great. Other discussion? All right. Sounds like we're ready for roll call when you are, Millicent.
Okay, Aaron?
Aye.
Want to vote, Chris?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Lissa?
Aye.
Georgiana? Want to vote, Georgiana?
Yes.
Okay. Janice?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Jordan?
Aye.
Cadence?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jesse?
Abstain.
Matthew Hendricks?
Yes.
Yes.
Paul?
Aye.
Robin? Did you say yes?
Yes.
Okay. Tyler? He gone?
He left.
Okay. Wes?
Yes.
And Matthew Deardahl?
Yes.
Great. We have 17 yes and 1 abstention.
Thanks, Millicent.
Okay, the next item that came up at the subcommittee meeting was West 31st Street pedestrian safety improvements, 30% by Amy Morgan. And this one, I think there was a link issue in LIMS, but it was, the plan was, or the project sheet was on Millicent's email. And it's 2 intersections, and they're replacing basically temporary bump outs that have been there for a while that they've been testing on Emerson and DuPont. Both are one-way streets, and they will be building those out. They'll be adding green space. If you come to the next scene there, yep. That shows the improvements with the next, and everybody was supportive of this. They asked if the bump outs could be increased on Emerson and DuPont to slow down the turning behavior there. They said they'd look at that, and we passed a motion. And that motion reads, the Bicycle Advisory Committee supports the project as presented and asks for further review to increase the radius of the north-south one-way streets to encourage slower turning vehicular behavior.
Do we have a second for that?
I'll second it.
I heard Paul and Aaron. We'll give it to Paul since we won't be doing that next month.
Thank you.
All right. For the discussion, please. All right. Well, you're all quiet, so I think we like this one, but you make the call, Millicent. Ready when you are.
Okay. Aaron?
Aye.
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Alyssa?
Aye.
Okay.
Georgiana?
Can you hold on just a second?
Okay. Janice?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Cadence?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jesse?
Abstain.
Matthew Hendricks?
Yes.
Nick?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Robin? Robin, you want to vote? Can't hear
Oh,
you.
geez. Yes. Aye. Sorry.
Armand is gone. Tyler's gone. Wes?
Yes.
Matthew Deardahl?
Yes.
16 yes and 1 abstention.
Thank you, Millicent. One more.
Okay, the next one was Franklin Avenue West. It's at 15%. It was presented by Katie White, Minneapolis Public Works. Millicent, if you can pull it up on the screen, be appreciated. Basically, the plan includes a one-way, 5-foot wide, the gray ice bike lane. So that's the grade cement on both sides of the street. 6-foot concrete sidewalks, a 1-foot tactile strip separating the bike lane from the sidewalk. New green boulevards, an enhanced Bryant Bike Boulevard crossing, enhanced transit stops, and yeah, I think if you pull up that, there you go. That's the scene. Single travel lanes with designated left turns at Hennepin and Lindale intersections. Construction is planned for 2022. So it's at 15%. So they're going to go back and do some more work on this. Some of the comments that we had were, can the intersections be tabled and receive zebra striping for increased safety? That's under consideration. Second one, can the South Side Trail Jog between Bryant Avenue and Aldrich be straightened? You can see that little gray ice wiggle on this, right in the center underneath the left of number 1, which is a little south. And then if bike lanes can have bike symbols with directional arrows or something to indicate that, and that seems to be doable too. So this was enthusiastically supported and seconded, and we have a resolution. Any questions before I proceed? Or comments? All right. Franklin West. The Bicycle Advisory Committee is excited to support the project as presented and looks forward to future ideations. The consideration of tabled and marked intersections is highly appreciated, along with directional bike symbols on the bike lanes. We are hopeful that the trail jog on the south side between Bryant Avenue and Aldrich Avenues can be straightened.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Paul. Discussion?
There is one thing that I heard from a resident on Franklin since last week was just that they were kind of pointing out that if the reason we wanted those those handful of parking spots that you can see in the rendering is for food delivery and things like that, it might be worth considering a recommendation of putting like a 15-minute limit or put some sort of time limitation. Maybe we let them decide, but it might be worth at least considering an amendment to that. Just adding that.
Is that something, I'm looking to Public Works time expertise, is that something we should put now, or is that something that would come out in a later percentage proposal?
This is Matthew. I think saying that now would be really helpful to help prepare it for the 30% time frame, and I like that idea, and maybe not specifying a specific type of signage, but maybe noting that they should think creatively about that space given curbside use policies that we're exploring, that type of thing. Something to that effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think now would be good.
Okay.
To answer your actual question.
So given curbside use, the BAC also recommends the county consider parking time restrictions and creative use for the whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, and I would say in conjunction with the efforts to explore curbside management policies that we are explored. And it's a city in this case, not county.
Okay, sorry, thanks.
Yep.
So, in conjunction with the curbside use policy developments,
Maybe policies currently being explored. How about that?
policies currently being explored.
Or yeah, developed. Sorry, developed.
Is that for curbside use?
Or
Around curbside use?
For curbside management.
For curbside management.
Yep.
Yep. The BAC also recommends the city consider parking time restrictions and creative usage. Period. Aaron and Matthew, does that seem like what we're going for?
Yeah.
Should this be city instead of county?
Yes.
Correct. City west of Lindale.
Thanks. Paul, is this acceptable friendly amendment to you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Millicent. I was just clarifying. Take out west of Lindale. I was just describing. Sorry.
Other discussion? All right. We're ready for another roll call when you are, Millicent.
Okay. Aaron?
Aye.
Aye.
Dan, you want to vote?
Aye.
Alyssa?
Aye.
Georgiana, are you there? Want to vote? All right, we'll come back. Are you there, Georgiana? Okay, Janice?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
John Barrett, you still here? Jordan?
Aye.
Cadence?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jesse?
Abstain.
Matthew Hendricks?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Paul?
Aye.
Robin?
Aye.
Wes?
Yes.
Matthew Deardahl?
Yes.
Okay, 15 yes and 1 abstention.
Thank you, Millicent. Dan, anything else from engineering or Chris?
That's it.
All right, announcements. I know of two. One Alyssa alluded to before, and that is an announcement that Public Works removed a bike facility on 17th, and we should discuss that. And I think there is a draft action as well. So give that to Alyssa if she's ready.
I am. Let me attempt to share my screen. Hopefully you all can see this. I got in an email from the Ward 9 office, which is where I am. So this is, you can see the very bottom of the diagram is Lake Street. And then on the right hand side, you can see is Cedar Avenue. And this is the area between Cedar and Bloomington. So 16th, 17th, and 18th Avenues between 26th Street and and Lake Street have all been turned into one-ways. This includes 17th Avenue, which is a bikeway facility, and it means if you would like to say exit the Greenway and then go southbound on 17th Avenue as a bike, you are technically breaking the law to do that. So folks who are attempting to use any of this stretch of 17th Avenue as a southbound bikeway can no longer do so. So I have a draft motion saying that the city should fix it. As far as I understand, this was really the changes here were really born out of engagement with the East Phillips neighborhood. Loosely from some conversations with folks in the neighborhood, I understand this to be not a traffic mitigation strategy, but a response to complaints about crime in the neighborhood. I don't think it's particularly effective as a strategy to mitigate crime. I do think there is some potential for these to be more friendly streets for folks walking and biking, because these streets regularly have cars going down them at 40, 50 miles an hour. I live just on the other side of Bloomington and bike this area very regularly. So I think overall I am in support of the one-ways, but we need that bike facility back. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so Millicent can share the draft motion that I sent.
Hold on 1 second.
And while you pull that up, wondering if anyone has any questions about what happened there and why I'm bringing this forward.
See Greg's hand up.
Yes, my question is, is there still on-street bike facility at all, or is it, or was there an on-street bike facility there in the first place, or was it just dumping the folks from the Greenway onto a residential street?
Yeah, so it was a bike boulevard. Especially, I think both north and south of Lake Street, there are roundabouts and there's paint, but it's not a separated bike facility.
But it was a bike facility.
But it was a designated bike facility. So.
And is it a bike facility now in its one-way direction?
They did not remove the paint, so technically, yes, folks can still ride it northbound for this stretch between Lake Street and 26, but they cannot ride it southbound.
Okay. The reason I asked the question is this goes back to when we built Second and Marquette, and we took bike facilities off of those two and moved them to Nicollet. And I wrote an opinion back then about the state law that requires that any bike facility that is removed due to construction has to be replaced. And
hey, Greg.
yeah.
I'm not raising this question because I want to be right, but I have a curious legal question. So that statute, I believe, is really speaking to dedicated bike facilities. I think you could make a legal argument that this is not a dedicated bike facility, that it's a shared condition that kind of happens to be enhanced by paint. So I'm wondering, like, I hate that argument for the group, but what I'm wondering is that a compelling legal argument or not?
I think because it still is a shared facility going in one direction, it really doesn't get the statute in the first place. I haven't done the analysis. I heard about this just now, and I haven't called up my opinion. But I think we might actually, if we want to make resolutions, cite the statute that shows a bias towards maintaining facilities. That's all I was going to suggest. And I can pop off and find the statute and throw it into the chat.
I believe the statute is section 160.264.
Yes. Did you have that off the top of your head?
I didn't have it off the top of my head, but I had it in a Word document that I could really access easy.
Nice. I'm impressed. And then I also want to say from my actual role, which is not legal, I agree we should fix it. So by restoring access.
Robin and great. Robin and then Jesse.
So two things. I just want to be clear that this connects to some pretty significant stuff south of here that we invested quite a bit in. I mean, I think there's a way to get the signal at Lake Street on 17th, and then there are a bunch of roundabouts south of Lake Street. So for folks who are trying to use this facility to get north from down in Corcoran or even further south to get up to the Greenway, this presents a really big problem and barrier. I'm curious if Matthew has any inside scoop on what the heck happened. Did they just not think about it? Do we have any idea who is responsible for this?
I think I'll say this. I did not know about it until it was brought to my attention by Alyssa. So I am actively interested in helping fix it. I'll just say that. Like Alyssa mentioned, I believe it was driven or related to some neighborhood concerns, and I think there was like somebody acted quickly, and maybe didn't think through the implications of that street in particular. To say nothing of the other issues, but I think we definitely need to explore correcting it on 17th.
So I'll just, we may benefit from putting something in here that makes kind of the meta point of this cannot happen. This is not a thing that we should be catching after it occurs. If we have a complete streets policy, which we do, it should be consulted when we are having conversations about, like, should we flip a bunch of streets to one ways because we have concerns about crime on these streets. And I'm loath to say, we do everything so slowly anyway. I'm loath to say slow it down. So that's not really what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, when we've got a bicycle facility on a roadway, we have to think about that. Somebody in Public Works has got to think about that. And so just calling attention to the fact that this is a real failure of our system, and it should not happen again.
And I would add, yes, and connect to the person designated with that role, which is me. So yes, I agree.
So it sounds like maybe there's some suggested additional language that folks are thinking about for this resolution. Why don't I read out what I have, and then if folks have things that they would like to suggest as additions, we can do that. But I know that folks on the phone have not actually seen the resolution yet. And then I do have an example photo of the bikeway if folks are like struggling to figure out how that looks.
And Alyssa, Jesse, you had your hand up and down? Did you still have something?
I don't necessarily. That's a Greg did post the statute wording within the chat, and I can read it if you need me to. But that's what I was going to talk about.
Thank you. Matthew and then Cadence. Do you want to, Matthew and Cadence, are you okay waiting until it's read before you go, or do you want to go now?
Sure, that's fine.
That's fine. Yep. And also looking at the photo that Alyssa has from the field too would be nice.
Thank you. All right. When you're ready to read it, Alyssa.
The Minneapolis Bicycle Advisory Committee requests that the city of Minneapolis install a counterflow, in parentheses, southbound, bike lane on 17th Avenue South between Lake Street and 26th Street, including posted signage, striping, and limiting parking to one side of the street. The street has recently been converted to a one-way street that limits its use as a bicycle facility, which is unacceptable given that 17th Avenue was a designated bike boulevard in the city's bicycle master plan and is intended to connect to several other major bike facilities in the network, including the Greenway, 28th Street, 26th Street, and 24th Street. In accordance with the priorities outlined in the Transportation Action Plan, the street should immediately be amended to reallocate parking space to safe, comfortable bike facilities. So moved.
Second. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second it. Yeah.
Okay, and thank you, Matthew, and then Cadence.
Go ahead, Cadence.
Yep. So my question was about parking impacts and what that looks like now that these have been changed to one-way streets, and how that's going to work with the counterflow lanes.
I don't know, Millicent, if I just booted you from screen sharing. Sorry, I don't quite know how that works.
That's
but,
fine.
So this is a picture of 17th. So we're looking currently southbound, which is the way you cannot go anymore on 17th. And the first intersection right in the photo there is 29th Street. And then you can see further down is Lake Street. You can see, for example, I took this photo around 4 o'clock. The entire, what is that, the west side of the street that you can see between Lake and 29th. There's 2 cars on the entire block. There is a business at the far end near the stoplight. They did retain partial two-way at the very ends of the blocks for business access, even as they removed all of the bike ability to use the network. And then they've also added some bollards to remind cars not to turn the wrong way on the new one-ways. But as you can see, it's not a terribly high parking demand in this area.
So if I understand it correctly, if we install a contraflow bike lane here, like we would have to remove parking. I mean, I would prefer that parking be removed on the west side of the street so that there's just like no possibility of being like going head first into a door being opened into your path. Is that correct? If I'm interpreting the rest? Okay.
Yes, so that would be removing parking. And my thought with the resolution is to ask for the thing we actually want. I am not necessarily under the illusion that Public Works is magically tomorrow going to take away 4 blocks of street parking without maybe a little bit more pushing. But I think, you know, we should ask for the best possible solution to this and see what Public Works does with that.
All right, Matthew, Hendricks, and then Robin.
So I'm a little concerned about the potential for unintended consequences with designing the streets as one-ways because that might encourage speeding. And so I wonder if there will be any sort of monitoring of how this is working out, and then consideration for using diverters at intersections or using bump outs mid-block that are, you know, extend across the center line or other speed mitigation techniques that might have fewer unintended consequences. So just curious about what other things were considered and how this is going to be monitored for safety going forward.
Yeah, Matthew, I think those are great questions. I don't know. I will say these changes were made, I think in October sometime. I got the email from Ward 9 at the very, very end of September. And so have kind of been waiting to see, like, is this it? Is this all Public Works was planning on doing? And they've now had a couple months, and it doesn't seem like there's any additional plans beyond what they've put here, at least that they've communicated about publicly.
Okay. Yeah, and I should say I support the motion. My concerns are maybe broader and more for the long term, how this how it's either adopted or made permanent or adjusted to address the speeding that might result.
Yeah.
Right. Robin, then Dan, then Deirdre.
Sorry. So I'm going to read aloud the language fragment I came up with here to try to say the meta thing. So the city's complete streets policy should prevent this kind of outcome where a bicycle facility is partially removed without notice or discussion. The BAC urges Public Works and other departments to put in place processes that will prevent this kind of negative outcome in the future, including but not limited to discussing changes to signage and striping that will have a significant impact on a bicycle facility with the bicycle and pedestrian coordinator.
Awesome, thanks, Robin. Is that friendly amendment accepted by the motion maker and seconder?
I love it.
I'd like to see it again. It was on the bottom of the screen and I couldn't see it. I can get the wording from a screenshot if it's not blocked.
It's up now, I think.
No, it is not.
Oh.
I can see it. I don't know if it's a loading issue, but I see on Millicent's screen the full thing plus Robin's language. Yeah.
Really? I'm not seeing it. I don't know why. Okay.
All right. Dan and then Paul.
Okay. You know what? The bottom of it is blocked. That's what it is. I can see it up now, but the bottom line is move it up a little bit. Or
it's also in the chat.
It's in the chat. Okay.
All right. Dana, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. what I'm understanding from this, Melissa, is you're talking about a counterflow lane that northbound traffic, a northbound bicyclist would be in this counterflow lane, and then a northbound lane would be in the regular street path. Would it be, and that dedicated two-way bikeway is not what you're asking for? And is that something that's worth asking for?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think I have not, just thinking through some of the signalization with 28th and 26th being one ways, I don't have a good sense of how a two-way, a full two-way bikeway would operate there. I was thinking mentally a little bit more, I think it's, what is it, over in Northeast 5th that has the counterflow bikeway that you take for a long way where there's one-way traffic and you can bike with it one direction.
5th and 5th Southeast as well.
Thanks, Robin. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking of as like a good comparable model in terms of this is also a pretty low volume traffic street. Most of the traffic is on Bloomington and Cedar. And so not a lot of cars are using it to cut through, but if folks are interested in pushing for that, I guess I would consider it. I just haven't. It didn't seem, it seemed a little overbuilt for the street. But I'm also always for reallocating space away from cars because that does help with some of the speeding issues that Matthew Hendricks mentioned.
Thank you. Paul, Robin, and Jesse.
Yeah. Is it my understanding that right now you can't go south on 17th from the Greenway? Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, I think that should be changed. One other thing, this is a bike boulevard, I think, and it goes all the way to the bike trail along Minneapolis Parkway or the creek. And I have used that 17th to go north and south between like Lake Street and the Parkway. So I think obviously it may be used more than you think it might be because of that connection.
Robin and Jesse.
So I wrote some text to Matthew's point, which I thought was a very good one. I'm reading it now. The BAC is also concerned that one-way streets have a tendency to increase vehicle speeds. We further encourage Public Works to monitor and evaluate speeds on these streets and remove the one-way conditions if they increase vehicle speeds.
Great. Is that acceptable to the motion maker and seconder?
Yes.
All right, Jesse.
Yeah, in the last sentence of the first paragraph, would it be beneficial to say after the Transportation Action Plan and in accordance with Minnesota Statute 160.264, which is the having to replace a bikeway that has been removed?
I sure like that.
I do too. Millicent, do you have questions or can you add that note in there?
Yeah, I'm going to find it here. Minnesota Statute 160.
Yeah, Minnesota Statute 160.264.
And that statute is more cited for philosophy. We are not saying that it's violating the statute as it is, and I would advise against that.
So it should read something like in accordance with the priorities outlined in the Transportation Action Plan, as well as alignment with Minnesota statute, whatever it was.
That would work. That works for me.
Okay. All right. Other discussion?
Yeah, just make sure you send me the final language. There have been so many changes. I'm not sure I've got the wording on this motion. This is Janice.
Janice. Any other discussion? Cadence.
I just I just have a quick question. I don't know if it's possible to request like a record of decision of like how and why this change was like formally made. I know, Alyssa, you said that it was like due to non-traffic related safety concerns, but like if there's some sort of like study or article that was pointed to, or if it was like just purely a request, I would be interested in knowing how this got support to be implemented and the way that it's currently implemented.
Matthew?
I think that's an interesting question. I would note I have a feeling there isn't a record of decision in the same way that there are for capital projects, because I think this is likely considered an operational change, and so I'm not necessarily sure what would count as a record of decision in this case, but I don't think there is like an official action or something that was passed or formalized. And I could be wrong, so maybe I could look into that. But
it seems like the kind of thing that okay. I'm really trying to restrain myself, and maybe I'll just stop. I cannot believe that we allowed ourselves as a city enterprise to make such a bad, dumb, wrong decision as this at this time in 2020. For me to get a single four-way stop has taken 10 years and to the record letter. So there damn well better be a paper trail on this, and we should be able to find out exactly who signed off on it and whose idea it was, and have some accountability for this, because it's just not okay. It is not okay.
Thanks, Robin. I really needed that in my last meeting, so I just want you to know I appreciate it. Anybody else on the discussion?
This is Alyssa. I will just add, Matthew, I don't know if we need to put this in the resolution. I would love it if someone from Public Works could come to a committee meeting and explain how this happened / why it is not going to happen again.
And that someone shouldn't have to be you. We'll just be clear.
Yeah,
about
someone else.
Sorry, did you say you are going to put that in the resolution?
Do I need to, or can I just send some emails about it, I guess is my question.
Right, either way, but right, okay. I was just curious what your thoughts were.
I will send some emails about it then.
Okay.
And stop amending the resolution and turn it back to Nick.
All right. Any other discussion? I'm very happy with this motion about this very unhappy project development. Any other discussion? All right, Millicent, I think we're ready when you are.
Okay, Aaron?
Aye.
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 Alyssa?
Aye.
Georgiana, are you there? No.
Yes.
Janice? Georgiana, you're voting yes?
Yeah. Yes. I want to see something done. I'm with Robin on this.
Good. Janice?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
John? I think he's gone. Jordan?
Abstain.
Cadence?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jesse?
Abstain.
Matthew Hendricks?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Paul? You want to vote?
Yes, because this does affect my ward and my last chance to have a vote, aye.
Aye. Robin?
Aye.
Wes?
Yes.
Beardahl?
Yes.
We have 15 yes and 2 abstentions.
Thank you, Millicent. Matthew, do you mean to still have your hand up?
No.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. The other announcement I'm aware of is we've got some folks stepping off. I sure would like to start with those that are here today and give you the opportunity to say whatever you like. So I'm going in the order of the official email from Millicent here, so that's my order. Chris, Lindy, thank you for all of your service, leadership, and dedication. We're definitely going to miss you. We wouldn't be the same without you. Thanks for bringing all you have to engineering. Let you say a few words.
Yeah, thank you. It's been nice. It's been nice to develop new skills, kind of in a professional way, and also to be able to make a little bit of a difference. Yeah, I can look back at things that good wins, like Fifth Avenue Bridge over the 35 was really nice. Hennepin Avenue is going to be really nice. Third Avenue over the river is going to be nice. Also some losses, University Avenue and First, Penn maybe, and also some future projects. I think I'm definitely going to be still working, advocating for projects that I really like more in my neighborhood, such as Third Avenue Bikeway that we already discussed, and also the Great Northern Greenway. Getting the BNSF Bridge open from north to northeast is a huge lift, but we have a small group, including Dan Miller, who does a lot of work. So working on that. So, and maybe I'll find some other volunteering. Gosh, I can't remember. It's been 8 years I've been on the board, so it's time to roll over. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chris. Next up, Paul Friends.
I've enjoyed being on this committee for the last, I think it's 9 years. I've enjoyed the people I've worked with. Everybody's been really informative and have brought about between the group a lot of good changes in the last 9 years. I'm going to miss the meetings and miss the camaraderie I've had with everybody on the committee over the last 9 years, but I think it's probably time to get off anyway. It's longer than I would have thought I would be on the committee, so it's time to have some new blood, I guess, and just good luck to you for the remaining years that you're all on the committee.
Thank you, Paul. Really appreciate all the energy that you've put into showing up, being here, doing the homework, saying yes to all the extra little projects and meetings that we've needed over the years, and our bylaws. So again, we wouldn't be where we are without you either. So thanks. We do not have here today Emily Smoke, Richard Anderson, or Liz Johnson, who all made their contributions. I do want to call out Richard Anderson, as when I started, which we'll get to, he was here. He had already been here. So I'm sad that we weren't able to say an official goodbye, but again, maybe in the post-vaccine era, we'll be able to all get together, go for a bike ride and celebrate somewhere outside together. So, and sorry, trying not to get too emotional here, but bear with me. The only reason I'm still doing this here is because of you all. It's been an amazing 18 years, believe it or not. I can't believe I've been doing anything for 18 years. It was 18 years this probably week that I had moved to Minneapolis in October and made some calls and went to this weird meeting with these bunch of nerds in City Hall. And, you know, the thing is, it's amazing because the work continues today. So, and things really happen. So never, a couple pieces of advice is never take for granted the work that you're doing here that has meaning. Just for fun, I went back as far as my email would go on the BAC, which was only 10 years. And I was looking back at some of the things like the Lowry Avenue Bridge that we were talking about. When I started the Bikeway Master Plan, it was one page. It was a map. It was such a joke. And the 200-page version that we all helped on was good in its own ways, but it had its issues. Amazing projects. I was looking back with one of our members who's now leading our Parks Commission, Jennifer Ringgold. It was then called the Intercity Trail, and now the Nokomis, Minnesota Regional Trail connects to the 9 Mile Creek Trail. Amazing connection the committee helped with. I also saw one of the first emails from Lisa Bender when she got involved and was telling us to all make sure we are at open streets to make it happen for the first time. I'm so glad you're here, Jenny, but I really missed Roy, who passed away, one of our best members, and who helped this committee lead our commercial driver training as well as our behind the big wheel public effort that we did over the years. So it is, when you think about these accomplishments, they wouldn't have happened without all of you and all of us. So keep doing the work. And I have to say that I'm grateful to the staff. I can't say enough good things about Matthew, so I won't say any. No, just kidding. It's been amazing working with Matthew these many years, but I don't want to forget that it was 10-ish years after my involvement that the city got its first bike ped coordinator, Sean Murphy, which again, this committee helped make happen. And despite the fact that we have a whole new silo of public works dedicated to bike ped, as you all can see from today, don't take anything for granted. Never accept anything. Always do the homework and get it done. And then the last piece of advice is to just keep working together. And respect one another, because we are unique among city committees in that we don't have a TAC, we don't have a citizens group. We're all in this together, and I think that has made all the difference in the world in how we've been able to get things done. So keep doing that. Keep listening to each other, and know that it's okay not to agree. And as you know, my perspective is, if we're all shouting different things, we're gonna get, taken over by the cars. And so it's always better when we agree, but we don't always have to agree. So listen to each other. And just a couple of specific people I wanted to call out. One is Millicent. It's been so awesome working with you these last couple of years and having your expertise and all that you've done to support this committee and help us be the professionals that we are. And having you, I'm sorry that we've taken you on and kind of brought you into the bike nerdiness that we are, but I really appreciate you. And Jesse, you're one of our newest members, and I just want you to know, because McKinsey is one of the longest people I've worked with in my career here, that she would be really proud of all the great contributions you have already made. So please keep showing up. And then you all think it's me, but Janice, the committee, we wouldn't exist without you. Robin, of course, remembers the days when there was no record of anything that we did at all. So thank you, Janice. And thanks to all the leadership, especially Alyssa as vice chair, and to Chris and Dan, as subcommittee chairs, because it's a lot of work to make this happen every month, and it's really important. And I just want to say thank you.
Nick, thank you for all you've done.
Yes, certainly when as you go through the accomplishments, Nick, none of it would have been possible without your leadership.
Thanks, Janice. I'll keep facilitating. Robin.
So yeah, I want when I started coming to bicycle advisory committee meetings, midway through about 2006, Nick was already there. So I've been at this for something like what would it be, 15 years? And it is going to be an interesting transition for us because there has never been an official, the way we are now, you know, with Robert's rules and minutes and actions and agendas and all of that kind of stuff. That has only existed with you, Nick. It has only existed not just with your participation, but with your leadership. You helped lead the process that created the absolute juggernaut that is the Bicycle Advisory Committee, and you have led us the whole time we've existed in this form. And the amount of stuff that we got done, that we have gotten done, in let's be honest with ourselves and each other, in a very hostile environment to getting done the thing that we want done. Cars own everything in our whole society, and we're carving back just this little bit of space and of safety and of dignity and comfort for ourselves and for your kids and for my mom and for just, you know, all of the people who will come after us. And the stuff that we have gotten done was stuff that, not figuratively, I literally did not think it was possible for us to get done. And we got it done over and over again. The whole Complete Streets plan and network, and the fact that we've now built a bunch of them, and I said Complete Streets, didn't I? The Bikeways for All. But the Complete Streets policy, actually passing something like that, was monumental and difficult, and it would not have happened without you and without all of the folks who have put so much work into the BAC overall this time. I also just want to say, Chris, I have really appreciated your leadership on engineering stuff. I hope that we have folks ready to jump in your place, and I think Dan, you're doing it now, and I think it's going well. But it's a lot of work. There are a lot of projects that come through that committee, and it takes a lot. And I definitely noticed it and appreciated it a lot. Paul, I have really appreciated your focus, especially down, you know, your specific knowledge of things that I hardly ever see, because they are far enough south that why would I go there? You know, it has been really useful to me and to the committee, I think, in understanding the real life implications of the things that we do down there. And if I'm leaving somebody out, somebody please let me know. But I sort of alluded to this for the folks who are on the call. I have a gift for those of you who are leaving, and I'm going to get your addresses and I'm going to bike it to your house. So hang on, just I'm going to see if I can show it to you. It's something like an Art Crank poster. It's a relief print with millstones for the bicycle wheels for our town. So expect one of these as a token of my appreciation for your service to.
I would have left so much sooner if I would have known I was getting that.
They only exist starting last Sunday, so it wouldn't have worked out for you. But anyway, thank you so much for all of your help and all of your work and putting your heart into this work.
Thank you. Matthew, you get the last word, because we have a unrecorded, unofficial social that you're all invited to starting next, and one special guest is already there, so I don't want to keep them waiting too long. So Matthew?
Let's see. Sorry, I'm outside. Can you see me?
Yeah, Matt, I wanted to say something, but I didn't raise my hand. Matthew, you want me to go first?
No, let me go first real quick, and then you can have the last word. If that's okay. Okay. So I just want to say a couple things. One, I want to start with just how much I appreciate everybody on this committee and how much I appreciate my role in making sure that your work is honored in Public Works. That's a role that I treasure more than anything else. And I take that very seriously. And so I just appreciate anybody who's willing to take their time to put so much work into something they care about is just like something that I value so much. So I appreciate all of you. Chris, like others have mentioned, I've just so much appreciated you on engineering. And this sounds maybe strange, but I appreciate you the most when you're angry, because I just like I can relate with that, and it's like it's always for a really good cause, and I appreciate that. Paul, you're just so reliable, and I just appreciate your perspective as well. You're always willing to jump in, serve on the committees, and that's just so helpful. And appreciate all your time. And then Nick, gosh, I wouldn't be in this role if I didn't get to know you in 2008. I really just appreciate you as a friend and colleague. And what I mean by that is I met Nick in 2008 in Bemidji in my first job out of grad school. He taught me this concept that I'd never really heard about called biking in the street and like understanding how to do that right as I was being introduced to active living. And so I just can't overemphasize how much I appreciate you in this in my career so far. But then, when I applied for this job and got the job, like you were so important to helping me understand what I was getting into. And I just appreciate you more than I can describe here in this short time. So I'll just I think I'll just leave it there for now.
Thanks, man. Alyssa?
I'll be fast. The BAC is like the reason I am who I am. When I joined the BAC, I was a person fresh off being a person who biked and got hit by a car. And now I work for a transportation advocacy organization, and it is my entire life because of the experience I had in the BAC. So like that is a collective thank you to all of you. And then a special thank you to Nick. Nick, I remember like being around for the first couple meetings and being like, am I allowed to swear on recorded meetings? Damn, Nick is a really good facilitator. I have really appreciated all of your facilitation skills. You're, in addition to all the things that everyone else has already mentioned, you're going to be leaving some really big facilitation shoes to fill. And also, I don't know if anybody else has other stuff to say, but Nick, we have sort of a special surprise for you as somebody who has put in a lot of extra work as chair, and we would appreciate it if you would go to the side door of your house.
I was just going to say one thing really quickly, Nick. So there's a lot of technical details I could talk about. I've served a little over half as long as you have, and I can't remember the BAC without you. But one of the things that really strikes me about serving on the BAC as a parent is that there's this calculus that's always running in the back of my head about, how safe is an intersection? My kids are using this intersection, or if they're not, the kids of friends of mine are, kids I don't know who are no less valuable than kids I do know. And there's always this running calculus about, should I put more time and energy and effort into bike stuff for Minneapolis, or should I go spend some time with my own kids on a bike ride or something? And as you're making this transition, I just want to say, from one parent to another, there's no wrong answer. And I'm really honored that you've served so long with us. And I wish you all the best as you focus more on your own kids. And that's a great decision. So good for you for looking for that balance. And thanks for all you've done.
Thanks, Matthew. Really appreciate it. I will. Should I attempt to go to my side door?
Yes.
All right. Hang tight. I'll be right back. We'll see if Gail can manage to not hang up on you. Just.
All right, everyone. How do I flip? Oh no, it won't flip.
So is that Gail? Is that your name? we get him?
So lucky I have pants on.
I think we have a new BAC member here.
I don't know if they can see you. Grab the phone. Tell them that. Hey, everybody.
Is that Matthew at his
Let's go
front
back
side door? I guess so.
Yeah, that was me. Sorry, something's wrong.
I was
with my
wondering
phone
where
right
you
now.
were.
Something's wrong with my phone right now. I've been outside. I'm very cold. I have to go to the bathroom. For like 3 hours. Anyway, I gave it to him. He'll be back in a second. A little surprise.
I do like that Gail's just sitting in my chair for me.
Yeah.
All right.
That was pretty sneaky, guys.
All right, guys. You can sneak on me while I'm sleeping.
What is it, Gail?
Ooh, present.
Ooh, sweet. Awesome. Thank you all. Really appreciate it. I've been thinking a lot about our crank lately, actually.
Have a nice day.
I can still remember the first one at 101.
What kind?
Well, thanks everybody. Gail's ready for the party to start, and our other special guest, if he's still there, is Sean Murphy. So if you want to hear about running for office in Wisconsin, or organic farming, or what it was like coordinating pre-Matthew and chat happily, you're welcome to join that Zoom. And thank you all for everything. It has been my highest honor to serve with you all on this committee and do all of this work.
Is there a link to this Zoom?
Yeah, where do we find it?
Hopefully you all got an invite. I will invite you on your calendar again right now and be over there in just a few minutes.
And while you do that, I'll just also let you know that in your inbox is a digital card from a lot of different folks that they have signed. So look forward to some very, very spicy old photos and a lot of words of gratitude in your inbox.
Thank you. I will reshoot the invitation, and if you don't get it, just email me at nick@bikemn.org. I'll be watching my inbox, and I'll just shoot that directly to the email address you give me. All right, folks, I'll see you for the party in just a few minutes. Thank you again for everything.
See you, Nick. See you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.